Here's the answer to question 3 on worksheet 2. So we've been told the claim is that for residential buildings, confidence is higher, so talking about confidence is higher, among European Pākehā residents than among Māori Pacifica residents. And I've given you the actual percentages to draw your attention to remind you of the fact that we're combining the very confident and confident together, and our not confident and not at all confident together. All right, so that was the note right at the beginning of the tables, that we're combining these together. So here we're talking about confidence. So we want to combine the very confident and confident, and we're comparing the European Pākehā. So that's looking at this group. So that's comparing the New Zealand Pākehā, and if I combine 17 and the 54 together, that gives us the 71%. Okay. Then we want to compare that with our Māori Pacifica, which when I combine the 22 and 44 together, that gives you the 66%. All right. So we have, make a little note, we've got 349 New Zealand European Pākehā people that were surveyed, and we've got 59 Māori Pacifica people that were surveyed. So I've got 2 sample sizes here, so that's my N1 and my N2. All right, so I've got 2 different surveys that I am comparing here, 2 different groups within the survey. So I'm doing a comparison because I'm comparing Māori and Pacifica, and I've got 2 different sample sizes, so I am using this third category, comparison between 2 surveys. All right, so I've got my sample sizes N1 and N2. Now I need to go and do the margin of error. So I've got to find the margin of error for each of the 2 groups, and then I need to combine that together. All right, so that's our first step. So I want to do the margin of error for the Europeans, and I want to do the margin of error for the Māori Pacifica. So the formulas for those is just 1 over root N1 and 1 over square root of N2. So our European Pākehā group, there are 349 of those. So 1 over the square root of 349, and that gives us 0.0535, which if you multiply by 100 will give you 5.35%. Now our second group, our Māori Pacifica group, there are 59 of those. So that's going to be 1 over the square root of 59, which if I put into my calculator will give me 0.1302. Multiply that by 100 to get a percentage, and 13.02%. Okay, so that's the first part, is I've done my margin of error 1, done my margin of error 2. Now I need to do the average margin of error times 1.5. So I'm going to say my margin of error overall is the average. Now average means I need to add them together and divide by 2. So I'm going to add 5.35 and 13.02 and divide that by 2, and then I'm going to multiply that answer by 1.5. Now if you type this into your calculator in one go, remember to put brackets around that top line. Okay, and so if I type that all in, multiply by 1.5, that gets you a value of 13.78%. So this is the margin of error that I want to use for my calculations. Okay, so I now have that margin of error. Next step is to find the percentage difference plus or minus the margin of error to get my confidence interval. Okay, so I'm going to say, right, confidence interval is the percentage difference plus or minus that margin of error. So I need to find the percentage difference. So I am comparing European Pākehā with Māori Pacifica. So I've got 71% compared with 66%. Okay, so 71 minus the 66, because difference means subtract, and that's going to give me a difference of 5%. So now I'm going to put that in my confidence interval and say 5% plus or minus the margin of error, which is 13.78%. So to get my two values, I'm going to do 5 take away 13.78 and 5 plus 13.78, and that's going to give me a confidence interval of negative 8.78% and 18.78%. So there's my number line, and my confidence interval, I'll put 0 on there, goes from negative 8.78 through to 18.78%. So there is my confidence interval there. All right. So remember, our confidence interval is estimating for the population. All right, not from the, we're using the sample data to estimate for the population. So the original question was for residential buildings, confidence is higher among the European Pacifica, European Pākehā than Māori Pacifica. Okay, so we have been comparing European. Okay, so the difference was finding the European. Wrong thing. Was comparing the European with the Māori Pacifica. Okay, so if I'm getting a negative value, that means that the Europeans could be smaller by 8.7, somewhere between being lower than 8.78 to bigger by 18.78. So the true proportion is somewhere between negative 8.78 and 18.78. So I need to interpret this now. So the percentage of European / Pākehā, let me go back to the wording, residents, that have confidence that residential buildings are safe is between 8.78% lower or 18.78% higher. So notice how I haven't used the negative. All right, I've said 8.78% lower. The word lower tells me that it's negative, and the 18.78 being higher, that tells me it's positive. So I have not written that negative value in the sentence, and it's really important. Okay, so let's go back to the claim. So we've interpreted the confidence interval. Yep, so we've interpreted that confidence interval. Now we need to look and say, right, we're going to test this claim. So we're looking to see, are the limits both positive? And it's talking about confidence being higher than the Māori Pacifica. So in our confidence interval includes that value of 0. So if it includes 0, means that they could be the same. Okay, European minus Māori, if you're getting answer of 0, they could be the same. So do I agree with this claim? No, I don't. And that's what I want to say, is I disagree with the claim, and I need to put my reasoning, because 0 is inside the confidence interval. And that's it.